should be live and rolling. Let's get. There it is. Cool.
Just done some retweeting from my end as well, mate. So hopefully some people will start to join us soon.
Hopefully. We'll see.
Okay, so it's doing a countdown now. So 12 seconds and it will go in.
Wonderful. I mean, I don't know if you've seen just a little thing from that account where you got that that break from that sent everyone crazy.
Yeah.
They do a lot of raffles.
Yes.
And they've put one on. They've shared one of their friends' one on their story, and it's a Erling Haaland PSA 9 from Topps Living Set.
Okay.
So fairly big print run. £4 a slot, 100 slots.
Wow.
So we're talking £400 for a $200 card.
Wow.
But again, controversial. But what can you do about it? Because it's their card, their price.
Yeah, I mean, the sort of general gist of what people were saying to me sort of after the sort of argument settled down and everything stopped going as crazy and it wasn't an attacking battle anymore. It was, well, you do you and we'll do us. And I said, well, I'll intend to do that anyway. Not in an arrogant mindset, but that was always what I'll intend to do. But, you know, somebody at some point has to stand up for the average person who's getting involved in the hobby, because to somebody they probably don't even know what that card's worth. They might look at that and think that's worth thousands because some Haaland cards are crazy, not knowing it's only worth a couple of $100, and be getting herself involved in. And I don't love raffles anyway, because raffles is just a real form of gambling. It's such a and this is what I said to people so many times before. By the time you enter 50 raffles, you could have gone and bought a really nice card for your PC for that money, and that is in your collection. The raffles, they seem like they're good value, but are they really?
I mean, you do have to look at it a different way, though, right? If someone new is coming into the hobby, they don't have that $250 to spend on the card outright. They're looking at it thinking, right, I could spend 20 quid on a couple raffle entries and I could get a $250 card. They're either looking at it as that's an interesting way to develop my collection, or that's a quick profit if I win this. And a lot of people, that's what entices them. I mean, it's the same for gambling. You look at things like poker and that, you think, I'll play this quick hand, fun little game, get a good 10 minutes enjoyment, and I also have that reward at the end of it, and I've doubled my money. But
yeah,
with people coming into the...
I don't mind that so much when it's someone who's working. It's their own money and they've got that to spend, or if they don't, that's up to them. Where I do have an issue, there's an account, and I won't mention any names, on Instagram, and this is actually a general habit of people who do raffles on Instagram. The amount of times I get DMs of people I have no relationship with, never heard of them before, saying, I'm doing this raffle, get involved, is just crazy. If I want to get involved in a raffle and I see it on Instagram, I'll get involved. Don't keep pestering me and DMing me and driving me mad. But, you know, we've got a young lad in our community. You know, he isn't at work, he's at school. You know, someone was really pushing him to get involved in breaks multiple times. Like, it'd really be like, come on, get involved. This is amazing, this card. This is fantastic. Really pushy, direct messages trying to force this young lad to get involved in raffles. That's when I start to have a real issue with it, because, mate, it's turning these kids to gambling at a very, very young age. There's a reason why gambling's for, you know, lotteries over 16s, real gambling sort of over 18s. There's a reason. And there's actually a reason why some places in the world it's over 21s or banned altogether, because it's a dangerous thing. So I'm really not a fan of raffles at all, to be honest.
No. I mean, again, if you look at it from both sides, they can be good for the people that are on a low budget.
Yeah.
However, like you said, if they saved that money up instead of entering the 10 raffles they're going to, they could just buy the card, which again is something hard to realize when you're getting involved with it, because I've been there myself, entering breaks just for the fun of it, just to, not even for profit or anything, just entering breaks and seeing what I get. And some return from certain breakers is just absolutely nothing. I mean, with yourself, at least you give back to people in terms of, if they don't hit anything, you try and bulk up their little package a bit more. But with some of these other ones where they're doing it for a full on business, they're brutal with it. They'll take your money, they'll take you $200 or whatever for your spot, and you'll get one base card in return. But yeah, it's dangerous when it comes to, like you said, the younger guys in the hobby getting involved, because most people don't put an age limit on their breaks. They don't question how old you are before you enter or anything like that. They'll just take the money and go. So
Yeah, not being regulated means you, because it's not regulated. For me, it needs the people who are in control of it and the people that are doing it to have a bit an ethical approach to what's going on, and some will be more ethical than others, and I ain't got a problem with that. And some people are doing it as a full-time job and haven't got a problem with that either. You know, I got myself involved in a museum collection Bundesliga break on Soccer Breakers FC. You know, that product used to be $250 a couple of months ago. It's now $900 a box, which is, in terms of value, is ridiculous. The reason it's that price is because there's Haaland and Reina autos in there. So that's the only chance you've got of getting anywhere close to your money back, is hitting a Haaland or a Reina. Now, that's fantastic if you hit one. If you don't, you do your brains. I knew that, but I thought I'm going to try one, roll the dice, see what I get. Jumped in. You know, you then get random spots, and even Dortmund doesn't have Haaland and Reina in it. They're split out. So you've got Dortmund minus Haaland and Reina, and then you've got a Reina spot, and then you've got a Haaland spot. So one guy hit the Haaland spot. You know, Cyrus is going, oh, you've hit the jackpot, but then no Haaland come out. He had literally one card, only one card that he could hit to get anything back for his £160 that it costs to enter. And he didn't hit it. And that's £160 down the drain. I knew what I was getting myself involved in. I could afford it. I did it. I didn't. To be fair, actually, I walked away with 2 autos, a patch, and a few other cards. However, because they're Schalke cards and Wolfsburg cards, they're worth nothing. They might be worth £30 as altogether. So it was a tough one to take. But when there's younger lads getting involved in that, that's where I start to have a problem. And it's all right, everyone's saying that, look, if people want to spend their money on it, and if people want to pay that price for a break, good, then so be it. I don't totally agree with that. I just think we have, and I feel obliged to educate people on what they're getting themselves involved in. And if I've got a premium break where there's a real high-end box, I always put in that tweet, look, please just understand that most of the value is, we done a Panini 1 break. You saw it. Now, I said most of the value is in that Panini 1 box, and a lot of people are going to walk away without much else. However, if you want to get involved, get involved. I didn't push it on anyone. I didn't force people. There were regular breakers who said I couldn't afford it. That's fine. No problem. I wouldn't even mention it again to them. There are other people who just push it. And that for me is wrong.
yeah, I mean, like you said, when it came out, the retail price of the box was probably nearer to the 200 range, and now you're seeing the boxes, not even the boxes, breaks with a couple of boxes, maybe 4, maybe 6 boxes, going for almost literally the retail price of one box for one slot. And like you said, when they're switching the slots so that you could, what I can't get my head around is, I know that it's going to be a more expensive per slot if they keep Haaland and Reina into the Dortmund slot. But if they play for Dortmund, they should be in
100%.
Dortmund, because if you're doing a pick your team, or if you're doing a random team, it shouldn't be random team, random player. It should be random team. If you're going to do a random player break, that's more understandable, and do it, or do pick your player break, but don't start splitting the teams up, because it'd be the same as if, I mean, what would they ever do if they released a Salzburg like slot in one where they had Daka autos, they had that young American kids' autos in there, would they break them up, or would they keep Salzburg in there and sell Salzburg for like $600?
Yeah.
It is. I mean, as I don't do brakes at the moment, I can't really discuss on the logic and the topic of breaking down the slots per pricing and all this, because obviously I don't know what they've bought the box at. They could have bought it at resale and they could be selling it for maybe 100 over resale, which fair enough, you're getting your profit back. But yeah, it's crazy. I mean, going back onto the subject of the Merlin boxes, 90 quid tops UK. Plenty of opportunity to get them. They stayed up there for a good hour. I'd say maybe not even an hour, probably 30 minutes. I'll be fair. And they tweeted it out. If you had Tops notifications on, you could have picked up a box. The main card in there is the Haaland Rainer, and now people are breaking the box at almost £500 to £600. If I go onto eBay right now, I could buy one probably 400, max 400. I wouldn't pay anything over that on eBay currently, because there are other people that are putting them up there and just chancing someone will buy it for the 600, the 500 or whatever.
Yeah.
But you just need to do some digging. There's other websites that are selling them for literally maybe even double what Tops are selling them. You could probably pick one up for £150 somewhere.
Yeah.
But people don't do the research. They see it on Instagram. They go, £33 a slot, I'm in. Because it's not the £90 for the box. But they need to realise there's one autograph in that box. £500 for one autograph. It makes you question. And it's only 3 parallels as well.
Yeah.
It's not even stacked with parallels. So, I mean,
it was a tough one for me. My argument was I don't have a problem with people making a profit, but they were selling it at, like you say, 500 to 600. There were 4 boxes that sold to United States at 500. The United States slept on that drop because they were asleep, when it literally slept was the right term, because it was wrong hours for them. They were asleep. It was the first time that United States actually had missed out on something over the UK for a very, very long time. And, they were desperate to get their hands on it. So they were happy to pay that premium. However, the UK price, there was one that had sold for 320. There was one that had sold for 340. There were some online now that were 340 with a best offer. So don't tell me that the average cost now in the UK is £500, because it's not. That's not the resale value. The resale value is about 300 quid. If you take off the eBay fees, 320, 340, fair enough. I can't be buying that. I don't have it. Don't accept it. At 320 quid, 350 quid, I wouldn't have had a problem. I did have a problem with marking it up to over £500. And what got me was how many people defended that on Twitter and Instagram. And that's why we're in the problem we are with this hobby right now, and it's becoming unaffordable to most people, because people are accepting it. And at some point, everyone has got to fight back and say, do you know what? This isn't acceptable. This isn't right. This is wrong. People got stung massively with Panini Prism, massively got stung with it. They're starting for the first time to turn away from it now. It will be the same with the Merlin boxes. People will start to break it. Everyone will go, wow, there weren't much value in there, was there? And everyone will start going, ow, that was painful for how much I paid for that, for what I got in return. And then everyone would turn away from it. All I was doing was trying to educate people and say up front, actually, this is well overpriced. It isn't even the current market value in the UK. And I think it's wrong what people are doing. Very few people outside of my community stood up for me. And most people on Twitter and Instagram actually sided with the breakers who are overpricing things. So this hobby needs to fight back, because otherwise it's going to get to the place where nobody's going to be able to afford to get involved, mate.
I mean, we've seen it already, not just for resale, but coming from the actual companies that are producing these cards themselves. I mean, Panini UK was selling Prism cereal boxes that contained 3 parallels in, right? And 1 insert for, I think it was, I want to say £60.
It was 50 quid. Yeah.
Was it 50 quid?
Yeah.
50 quid for a box with 3 parallels in it and 1 insert.
No chance of an auto, no chance of a numbered card,
exactly.
No chance of anything. Base. You're paying that money for base.
And people are paying that. That's the scary thing. People are paying that, where if they would just wait, they could pick up the cards they wanted from that box on eBay for cheaper. Because let's be honest, all people are really buying it for is the chase of the rookies, Saka. I don't even think he's got a rookie card logo on his rookie card. So the Saka, and then obviously the big rookies. I can't name them all because, to be honest, I haven't paid attention to Prism. I
Yeah.
really couldn't care for it.
I mean,
Um,
Gilmore's quite a decent one,
yeah, but still, is he
but
going to bring your 50 quid back if you get one base of him? Let's be honest. Like, realistically, you are looking for that Saka. As far as I know, that's the big name in it.
yeah,
And if you don't hit that in your three inserts or your three parallels, realistically, you've just thrown away 50 quid. And I know it's getting hard to find product in the UK, but when Tops are releasing hobby sets for £90, why are you paying £50 for a box with three parallels in? It doesn't make sense. And no auto chance, like you said. Not even like the cello packs from other products where they say, okay, you can get one.
yeah.
But it's really rare. Fair enough, you can get one. Start buying them, 30 quid a piece, whatever. 50 quid and no auto chance, nothing. Literally three inserts or three parallels is just. I could talk about it all day because it's honestly mind blowing. But
But even the breakaway boxes, they do have chances of autos. But again, the amount of them that I've watched and the breakers going, oh, that was a tough one to take. Oh, that was a tough one, wasn't it? I've not seen one person go and land massive. I've seen people hit it big in the 6 hobby box breaks where, you've got a real good chance of hitting a decent auto in there. But the problem is what people have got to understand as well, and it is about educating people. Any Premier League product is difficult to get your value back on, whether it's Premier League Platinum from years before. The reality is you've got the top 6 and then everything else is hardly any value. Every now and then you might have the odd card like a Grealish when it was his rookie season or something like that at a lesser team, but the top 6 are where all the value is. So 2/3 of that box is really poor cards, and people pay it feeling like they've got these massive chances of hitting something. Where the value is the Champions League products. The Champions League products are only the creme de la creme of teams and players that are out there, and that's why the Merlin one was so sought after, because it is the top players. That's why Topps Chrome went crazy, and price kept going up and up and up because you had the big players in there. I think people have just got to be careful with Premier League product. It is the best league in the world, but is it the best league for breaking? In my opinion, it's not.
I think even just for breaking, even for value, in terms of if you're buying a box, would you rather buy £1,000 box of Premier League Prism, or if they made it, I know they can't because of rights or anything. You know what? Forget that. Would you rather buy £1,000 box of Prism, Premier League Prism, or £1,000 box of Topps Chrome?
Yeah.
I know they're not £1,000, but put it on the same
No,
level,
yeah,
right?
I get it.
Topps Chrome Champions League or Prism
I
Premier
would
League.
take the
What are you
Chrome all
going
day
for?
long. All
Exactly,
day.
because you have the players like Haaland, Reina, Fati, Messi, Ronaldo. When you come to the Premier League, who are even the big chasers? It's the rookies, right?
Yeah.
And then you've got the couple good players like Son, Kane, people like that producing a little bit of revenue back to you, but they're not going to get you your £1,000 back. Son, okay, fair enough. He would have got you partially most of it back when the box first came out. I think he was selling for £600 just for one of his autos, which is crazy. I just, yeah, it's
I
so
had this
crazy.
argument with someone yesterday. Not an argument. We had a debate. We debated where is the value, and this is where people get it wrong. And this is why, again, I keep going back to it. It's educating. This hobby has attracted so many new people to it. It's important that these new people have a platform and people who actually care about the hobby and care about them and want to educate them. We had this question. Do you want to buy a box of Prism that has, I don't know how many cards it has, but let's say it has 80 cards. So a box of Prism has 80 cards. It costs you 600 quid. Then you have a box of Obsidian that has 7 cards and it costs you 400 quid. Most people will see that and think, well, I'm better off buying the box of Prism because, it's got 80 cards in it. It seems like it's loads more value, loads of packs, everything else. That's great. Whereas the Obsidian has only got 7 cards. That sounds really expensive. Having 400 quid for 7 cards sounds crazy. The thing is, what you've got chances of hitting in Obsidian, because it is the top teams and it is only Champions League teams, and you've got the big top boys in there. This year they're going to have Bellingham rookies. They're always going to have your Mbappe's, your Neymar's, your Cristiano Ronaldo's. all your big names in there, give me the 7 cards all day long at 400 quid, mate. Because all of that stuff that's in those 80 cards is all going to be base. You'd be lucky out of those 80 cards to hit one good card. Well, give me 7 premium cards over that one prism card all day long.
Yeah, I mean, even if we go on to the subject of Obsidian, I mean, you would know how much you've paid because you've bought a couple cases of it, am I right? With the new soccer release coming up, so you know obviously how much the boxes are per box. But again, you're gonna struggle finding your money back in those boxes if we're honest, because it is 7 cards and they are premium cards. So again, you'll have the good players in there, but the checklist will be padded with absolute trash. And we know that because it happens with every single release. You get 3 or 4 big cards, the rest of them are trash. So although the product is good and it's a lot better than Prism, in my opinion, or the big amounts of cards boxes, you will still struggle with the return on them. But when you hit, you'll hit massive with Obsidian compared to hitting in Prism and not even getting your money back. That's the difference. I mean, you've had that from Obsidian NFL. You've had that with the Justin Herbert. You've hit big on that and you struggled with that to get your money back, and to even sell it, you struggled. Yeah. So not only is it a case of getting your money back on paper, you also then have to find a buyer for that card. Definitely. And that's where you struggle with it, because I think Obsidian's harder to sell than what a Prism card is because of the way it's been easily adapted and accepted into the card community.
I certainly think that's definitely the case for NFL. For whatever reason, Obsidian's frowned upon almost. It just isn't what the purist NFL collectors buy. And it just, even the Chase Claypool that Phil hit that was numbered to 100, that should be a nice value card. I think in the end it's like a £20 card. I mean, it's nothing for that card. Whereas if that was his rated rookie card, it would be commanding a lot more money than that. So Obsidian, definitely NFL, no good. In soccer, it does seem, football, it does seem to be better, adopted by people. I've got this Messi card here. So that Messi there, which is Obsidian, numbered to 22. I mean, that's 250 quid, and I could get 250 quid for that all day long. But if I looked at that versus the Justin Herbert autograph, I'd be sitting here thinking, surely that Justin Herbert's worth more than that Messi card. And it wasn't. And I couldn't believe it. I paid £300 for the box. On paper, it looked like Herbert was worth 300 quid. I ended up letting him go for 200 quid. It is what it is. So, it is a tough... This whole game is a tough game, but it needs research. It needs people who care about new people getting involved. And I want to be one of those people. So I will keep speaking out, and I will keep standing up for the people getting involved in this hobby, even if it does mean that I get a bit of backlash at times. But I've got one thing I just want to set the record straight on. I've got no problem with any breaker making money. I just think when they're trying to rip people off, which I felt that level that it was at was ripping people off, that's when I start to have a problem.
Yeah, I mean, again, it all comes down to what people are happy paying. And if you're happy to pay that £33 for a spot in a £90 box, by all means, go do it. I'm not going to stop you. I'm just going to sit here and go, I wouldn't do that because I think it's a bad decision. That's my opinion. If you don't like it, that's fine. I'm not here to argue with it. But on the other hand, you do have to take into account other people's opinions on it and say, right, £33 into a break, you land the Dortmund slot, you land that Haaland Reina, you're walking away absolutely luckiest man on earth. Richest man on earth, but again, you just need to take into account the probability of it, and I don't think enough people do that when they're looking at it. They go, £33, I can make money here. Bosh, there's my 33 quid. It's also scary how fast they sell out. So they've obviously got a big community that are lapping up these products for ridiculous prices. I mean, like I said, before anyone was in the stream, there's a raffle going on for a Erling Haaland living set, PSA 9. I looked on eBay just to make sure I was right. They're about a $200 card. He's selling it for £400 raffle. That's insane. Like that.
A raffle, I've had this argument with people as well. If you're not selling it on eBay, a raffle should be less than eBay prices because you haven't got the fees. So if it's a
100%.
£200 card on eBay, the raffle should be 180 all day long. But people
100%.
think you go over the price on eBay. The raffle is never about making double your money on a card. The raffle should be about not paying eBay fees, giving a community a chance to get involved that you've got around you at a fair price. That's what it
Yeah.
should be about, not fleecing everyone for paying double what the card's actually worth.
Yeah. I mean, it's like with this card here, it's a Erling Haaland from the Topps BVB living set. If I was to raffle that, I know they go for around 50 to £70 on eBay. If I was raffling it, I'd raffle it at whatever the lowest was that sold on eBay. And even then, I wouldn't do 5 slots, £15. I would do 50 slots, £1. So then you've got a lot of people that can get in it. And then either way, it's a pound for a card. There's a £50 card. What more do you want? And it's only the 50 slots, so it's just about making the money on the card, not even taking into account postage. I mean, that £400 for the Erlen Haaland, that could pay for a chauffeur to come out to your front doorstep, take the card off you, and drive it to the other side of bloody Scotland. Like, it's honestly, I don't know. £400 for an Erlen Haaland card is. People would look at that and think Erling Haaland, £400, yes, please.
Yeah.
But it's only PSA 9, and I know people sell 9s for a lot of money. I mean, we were talking about the Tom Brady card that sold for 2.25 million. That was only graded, I think, in 8.5 BGS. But it's the player. And it all comes down to Erling Haaland is commanding that much money at the moment in the community because all eyes are on him. I don't know where it's come from, but everyone currently decides to invest in Haaland rather than other people.
Yeah, I mean, like I said to you before we went live, I'm turning my attention elsewhere. I just think the Maradona said it all today. I think you're safer investing in people who've had their career that are either still playing but already icons and legends of the game, or people who are retired and have had their career and seen of legends of the game. There's no chance that can blow up in your face. There's no chance of injuries. There's no chance of any of those things. My attention, I'm really going to go and research Pele in as much detail as possible and have a look at what he has got graded at PSA, have a look at, where there are any gaps, where there's an affordable set or card that you can get yourself involved in, and go after those Pele cards, because once his life is all said and done and he's no longer with us, then that price is going to shoot to the moon. So there's no chance that he goes to a team and changes leagues and goes wrong. There's no chance he tears his Achilles and can't play football anymore. I mean, how many times do you see it? It happens all the time. West Ham had Dean Ashton. Dean Ashton was quality. I know it's not the same level as Haaland, but an example, Dean Ashton, good player, was looking like he was going to be one of West Ham's best ever strikers, gets a really bad injury, never plays again. It can happen. And, I wouldn't be putting my money in right now while there's a bubble and ploughing my money into it for the possibility that can all backfire and blow up in your face. So Pele's where my attention's going to go. I'm going to firmly go and have a look at him. And then also, like I say, just research product more. Like you said, it is all about that. Research is everything in this game. I know it's sometimes, it is. Listen, mate, I have so much more fun jumping into a break than I do sitting there looking at websites, researching checklists or researching prices or researching how many cards are at PSA in the PSA 10 and whatever. That isn't the fun part, but that's all part of it if you really want to make sure that you're investing your money well in this game that we're in. And it's got to be done.
I mean, that's the thing. It's the people have to realise what community they're in. Because when I joined, I thought I'm joining a community where I can come in, collect the players I want, be affordable, have a cool little collection and all this. And I've come in, I've only been in it a year, so I haven't seen most of it. But from what I've realized, it's fully just investments at this point. No one cares about their own team's players. From what I can see, it's I'm going to make this investment. I'm going to flip the card for this much because I bought it for this much. I'm going to use that money to then buy other investments and just try and make myself rich from this community. And I think that's where it's going wrong. I mean, you see it a lot with the retail flippers in America. Thank God we don't have retail product in England. And I know people will be angry at me for saying that, but I swear to you, if we had it in England, you wouldn't even be able to get into Asda to do your weekly
No,
shop.
you wouldn't.
It would be
Hey, look
ridiculous. You
how we
wouldn't.
went over toilet rolls a few months ago. What would it go like for potential money? But look at what happens at Black Friday and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It
And
would be crazy.
I know people will be like, yeah, but the card community isn't as big over here as it is in America, but you don't know that because you haven't seen it. You haven't seen people queuing outside of Tesco or outside of Morrison's trying to get a box of basketball prism or Premier League prism to flip on eBay for 3 times their money. It would go crazy. People would start finding out. People would start telling their mates, if you see this in Morrison's, pick it up for me. I'm going to sell it for 6 times the price.
Yeah,
And you would never be able to find it. It would pretty much be like it doesn't exist anyway.
yeah.
So, I mean, if we're going back on, because we do keep changing subjects quite quickly here, if we go back to the Haaland debate, Colts Cards in the chat said this: I think the hype with Haaland is going to take a dip if he does make a move. People taking profits will cause price to drop. I don't know your opinion on that, but I would definitely agree a little bit. I would say that it would dip. Well, I'd say when the rumors start coming out of what club he's going to for sure, they'd shoot up a little bit. People trying to sell to make their profit. But then you would see a natural dip when people start buying them and trying to undercut everyone else. And then the market would get flooded with them, because if you go on eBay at the moment, there's hundreds of opportunities to pick up a cheap Haaland card because there's so many on there. And that's why it's one of the biggest investments at the moment, is because people are making it affordable to pick them up, like with the match tax, with the stickers, whatever. I mean, you can still buy the Tops sticker packs that you can get Haaland in. You can still buy those on Tops France or whatever for 70p a packet, and his sticker is selling for £100.
Yeah.
I mean, but yeah, I definitely see his price fluctuating a lot when that move happens. I just don't know which way it will go once all said and done.
I mean, at the end of the day, mate, that will happen, like you said. But we also said with injuries, with adjustments to new leagues, very rarely does a player go to a new league and just hit the ground running. It normally takes a period of adjustment. If he goes to that new league and doesn't score for 5 or 6 games, and then he only has a 12, 13 goal season, and everyone starts to question, is he the real deal now? That can see it go the other way as well. So for me, it's a real tough one with Haaland. At the end of the day, everyone will say, well, if you go back a month and you were saying the same thing, look at where you could be now. And I totally understand that. I get it. But there's no question it is a bit of a bubble right now. I mean, for standard Champions League Chrome cards, PSA 10s going for so much. And not only that, like you just said, is the PSA delay and pause button going to cause more to enter the market? Because all those people that were sitting on them for grading are now going to think, that wait, I don't want to wait that long. I'm just going to offload them as they are. If all those come into the market, then that could see the price go down as well. There's so many factors that can, fluctuate a player who's still so young. For me, it's just not where my money would be. It's not the safe bet. Don't get me wrong. If there were some opportunities, I'd have a nibble at a few of them. But not only that, those lesser cards that are affordable now, that are in the bubble, so like your crystal cards, all of those, they'll be the first ones to burst. They'll be the first ones to plummet. And all those people who thought they was making an affordable transaction on Haaland and going and buying 100 crystal versions of him or whatever it is, they'll be the first ones to pop, because the serious hobbyists will still be after those Tops Chrome, Champions League Chrome, Sapphires. They'll be after them still. But those crystals will just be like, all of those people who could afford that smaller product will turn their back on it, and that will be the one that gets wiped off.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think with stuff like that, I mean, I'm seeing what the Haaland stickers selling for probably 50, 60 £80, the Champions League one this is, on eBay. And I would much rather go out and buy 30 packets, not 30 packets, but £30 worth of packets from Tops, hunting that Haaland sticker, because you can also get other people along the way, which could be better investments than Haaland because of the price of Haaland and the popularity of Haaland. I think,
Didn't Daka score a hat trick today inside 15 minutes?
yeah, exactly.
Like,
And I mean, let's be honest, we know he's going to get a move. We don't know where he'll go, but again, I'd rather just buy £30 worth of the packets and risk not getting one, because then I know I'm stuck with. If I buy a £50 Haaland sticker, I'm stuck with that one sticker, and it's £50, and I have to make £50 profit on it, or not £50 profit, but more than £50 to make profit on the sticker. If I'm buying £30 worth of stickers, all I need is one Haaland, and I've made my profit. And I know it's again the gambling route, but it's not, because you're getting other stickers with it. I mean, I broke a couple packs. I didn't hit any Haaland, but I mean, I've got a Daka, I've got a Serginho Dest, I've got a Solusby. Like, you get so many other ones with it than just Haaland, and I think people are missing that. And I think people need to be looking at the places where Haaland is leaving to really cause like the improvement in the market, because when Haaland leaves Dortmund are going to want another striker, right? They're probably going to buy another young striker. So why not go out and invest in young strikers that could make the move to Dortmund and become the next Haaland?
mate, I think what everyone else has got to understand is, in my lifetime, getting on a bit now, but in my lifetime, the amount of times there was the next best thing and it actually worked out is few and far between. If it was that easy that everybody knew at the age of 19, 20 that a player was going to work out, the top teams in the world that can afford those players would just go and snap it up and dominate football. It's not that easy. The amount of times there is a player that, was like, he's going to be the next Messi, it's the next Maradona, it's the next whatever, and then they don't live up to expectation. Mate, it happens all the time. All the time. And
Definitely.
that is where you've got to be careful. And sometimes you are better off going for the ones that the people least expect and the ones that people are sleeping on, because they're the ones that can surprise you. Quite often it is the player that went unnoticed at the beginning that goes on to massive things. Ronaldo, when he was at Man United, no one would have ever, not at the end of Man United, we all knew how good he was, but I mean at the beginning, when he come from Sporting Lisbon, mate, no one was really talking about Ronaldo. No one. I don't remember anyone when he was at Sporting Lisbon going, that is going to be the best player in the world, who's going to win Ballon d'Ors and be the all-time leading goal scorer and everything else. It just didn't happen. So it's a tough old game to pick out the man. I think we all know Haaland is the real deal because he's done it in the Champions League now. It's not like he's just done it in the Bundesliga. So I think we do know he's the real deal. So I'm not debating that, whether he's got it or not. I think we all know he's got it. We're just saying that things happen. Players get injuries. They come back from them, but they might be slowed down a little bit. They're not as fast as they once were. They're a bit worried about going into tackles and things. There's a lot that can happen. So for me, I think the opportunity for Haaland has already passed, is what I would say. And I think your time now is to turn your attention elsewhere. And that's what it will be.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, not everyone pans out how people expect, and you can see that from all the people that were saying Christian Pulisic is the next big deal. He's gone to Chelsea, and let's be honest, what's he done? I mean,
Nothing.
it's the same with Timo Werner at the moment. He is the next big thing. I myself really
I thought
rated
he
him
was
when he
going
was
to
at
be
Leipzig.
big.
He came to the Prem
Yeah,
and he hasn't done it. So who's saying
yeah,
Haaland's going to be that guy that comes to
yeah.
the Prem and absolutely bosses it? Or
100%.
I mean, I can see him going to Spain or Italy and being the biggest thing in that league. I mean, but I can't see him coming to the Premier League for someone like Man
Mate,
City and putting up the same numbers that he is at Dortmund.
it's not only that, mate. At the end of the day, the biggest players are always the ones that also win international championships. And, Ronaldo did go and win the European Championships. For those, if you really want to cement yourself as an all-time great, you really got to go and try and lift a World Cup or do something special. And do you see Norway go in and win an international championship? It's just not going to happen.
I mean, I think it's a good point. However, Lionel Messi.
Yeah, I do understand that. I think Lionel Messi's done it enough at Barcelona and in the Champions League and won so many of them that I think he kind of gets away with that. I do think, he's been close a couple of times with Argentina. It's not like he hasn't been there or thereabouts. So, whereas Norway, I don't think they're ever going to compete. I mean, they have a decent team, but I don't think they're ever going to quite compete at that level. I'm not saying it's the be all and end all. There are people who have gone down in history, your Puskasses and people like that. But you still always remember back to those World Cups. Mbappe winning a World Cup at 18. I mean, that cemented his place in history. Ronaldo, the old Ronaldo, the R9 Ronaldo, winning World Cups. For me, they're just the big, big moments. Grimbo's just put George Best never winning. I do agree with that. But again, George Best for me, people are going to go mad, but he's not an all-time great for me. He's just not someone that springs to mind. If you was to say, name your top 5 players of all time, George Best wouldn't be in there. Maybe it's because it's a bit before my time and I didn't get to see him play, maybe. But he still isn't one that I just think is the all-time great. So it's a tough one. I'm not saying international is everything, but still having a player that's lifted a World Cup for me just only adds to the kudos in the future. And Mbappe's already done that.
Yeah, I mean, Mbappe is just a totally different ballpark when it comes to it. I mean, I think you can easily say he's one of the best strikers in the world. I mean, I don't think that's putting it too lightly either. I mean, he's won a World Cup, but he hasn't done anything club level yet, really. He's played for PSG and Monaco. I feel he should make the move from PSG if PSG aren't able to win the Champions League in the next couple of seasons, because he is wasting his time there. And it's the same argument for when people start going at Harry Kane at Spurs. One of the all-time, I would say, one of the best English strikers already, and he hasn't won anything club level.
And that does tarnish his name, mate. I don't care what anyone says. That's
100%.
why he's not that sought after, and that is a big problem. It's always a problem for England, to be honest. Jermaine Defoe, for me, was the best natural goal scorer I've ever seen play.
I'll double down on
best
that.
Natural goal scorer. Unbelievable talent. But didn't do it at club level and didn't do it at international level. And that's a problem.
Yeah. I would agree with that. I mean, I've always rated Jermaine Defoe probably one of my favourite players all time. Yes, I'm a Spurs fan. I would think that. However, you can't deny he was one of the best finishers for his time. But again, he played for Spurs. And it does become a thing. I mean, Son, one of the best wingers I've ever watched with my own eyes, but he plays for Spurs. So, I mean, I don't know. It's difficult. I mean, this comment from Grimbo, I'm not going to touch on that. I can't get started on that one. Not today.
We did say there'd be a troll somewhere in the chat along the way. It had to be Grimbo, didn't it?
It was always going to be Grimbo.
I'm going to put this one on you, mate. I'm going to put this one on you because I'm still unsure. And I've already asked you, but I'm going to ask again. And it does boil back to the whole conversation. Actually, we ended up on a very different tack than I thought we would do. It actually become a podcast more about how to invest and pick players and where to put your money than anything else, which is great, and I've enjoyed it very, very much. But if you pulled the tour downtown,
the green screen,
get it on, the green screen's done him in. Oh, never mind. But tour downtown, can we get it? No, not quite. What would you do with that right now? Do you hold, knowing his injury record? Do you see if he wins a Super Bowl? Do you sell it as it is while there's still this little bit of hype surrounding him right now? What do you do? Or do you wait for grading? Because it's very close to being I think it's got a chance of a massive grade, possibly even a 10. So
I'm totally not currently Googling his price before I make my judgment on this. I think a lot of people's response would be grade. because I'm looking at a PSA 9 that sold for 1,500. Is this from Optic or Domrus?
Domrus.
Domrus. Okay, so the PSA 9 from Domrus sold for 800. So a PSA 10 was 1.5K. The thing is, will his price still be 1.5K when you get it back from grading?
Correct.
It's a hard one. If I had that card, I would sell it, but that's because I know I could put that money elsewhere, and it would be safer in the other places I could put it, rather than a singular card of Tua. Even though Tua's been my favorite quarterback out of the quarterback list of 2020, he was always my favorite from draft night, to be fair. It's so
Grimbo's
hard.
point there. This is what gets me, right? Grimbo's point. The card is a masterpiece. This is my issue with it. It's a work of art. I almost wish Tua wasn't on it. I almost wish it wasn't a quarterback, because it is without question the best designed card that I've ever owned. So much thought went into that. The Dolphins going over the top of him, the Hawaii back set, the pick below his feet, the pick numbers of where he was in the draft. All of those things are incredible, and it is just so beautiful. In terms, it is an artwork. It isn't a card. It's an artwork, and I want to display it forever. But because it's Tua, it means that it has some value. And it means that, am I going to be disappointed if further down the line it's only worth 50 quid when I could have chopped it in for 400 or 500 quid? That's my problem.
I don't think it will ever be worth 50 quid unless he has like a career ending injury. God forbid that he just can't play on. I think you're safe to hold it for another season, because I believe the Dolphins are trying to build around Tua. They believe in him, so they may try and build around to him. But I would definitely say it's up to you in terms of if you think your money is better placed elsewhere. And it comes down to money. It doesn't come down to if the card is nice or whatever, because yes, the card's nice, but what are you going to do? Put it on a shelf. And it's going to stay on the shelf. So yeah, I don't know. It definitely comes down to just wanting that investment elsewhere.
Yeah, and actually, you make a very good point. Is it Optic or is it Downtown? Because the Downtown, Donruss, because the Donruss doesn't have the rookie stamp, and I think that also just takes away from it a little bit. I really do think that the rookie stamp on Optic is what sets it off. It's tough to have a rookie card, such a high-end rookie card without the rookie stamp is a tough one.
Yeah,
and that's all. That could also go against it further down the line.
I mean, this point from Grimbo again. Look at Baker Mayfield. He had so much hype where he is now. Forget the money and enjoy it. You can't forget money on a card that's worth $500,000. You just can't. And it comes down to if you need that money elsewhere. And personally, I think if I had that card, I'd sell it. But that's because I know I could use the 500 quid elsewhere better. However, for someone like yourself, you could happily.
Here's the question. I'm going to ask Grimbo a question. I'm going to ask Grimbo because he's been hold. I'm now going to ask you a question, Grimbo. Do I hold on to the Tua, or do I cash in for a goalkeeper on the So Rare? I want to know your opinion, mate. I want to know your opinion, because I think that's going to proper throw him as to what the best thing to do. Goalkeeper on So Rare, or hold on to a Tua card?
Now I'm staying out of this one because I haven't had enough chance to get into So Rare.
Yeah.
But I've seen a lot of people loving it so far, so I'm not going to judge. But cash in. There you go. There you go. See, it's as simple as what I was saying. It comes down to if you think the money can be used elsewhere.
Yeah.
Because yes, he's saying it's a masterpiece of a card, but when it comes down to it, is it enough? Is it good enough to keep your £500 stationary in a bit of card? I mean, that's my point. I mean, if it was a PC player for you, say it was like a Chase Winovich, you wouldn't even think, you wouldn't be asking the question. You would be keeping it there. But because it's a player you don't really care about, and
Yeah.
it's worth so much, you're going to get rid of it. Like I said, if it was a lesser player on it and it looked beautiful, I would say keep it because
Yeah,
it's
I
not worth
almost
the, you
just
know,
wish it was worth 50 quid. I wish
yeah,
it was a different downtown player, a non quarterback, someone that I didn't have to worry about. And I thought, "Do you know what? That's a beautiful card. It's not really worth anything. That's going to sit there and I'm just going to enjoy looking at it. And I think it's a masterpiece. It is the value of it which catches it out. And also, it is because it is Tua. Because if it was a Herbert, there's no way it would be going anywhere. You know, if it was a Burrow, there's no way it's going anywhere. It is because it's Tua, which has been the one that was a little bit iffy, but that also means that it's not quite worth. I think if Tua had a better end to last season and had hit the same sort of stats that Herbert did, that card's now worth £1,000, not 500.
yeah.
Then it's a different story. So everything at the moment goes against it, to be quite honest. So it's a real shame.
I mean, again, I know you don't really have much interest in. Well, I don't know personally, but I would, from what I've seen, I don't believe you have much interest in many other Patriots players other than Chase Winovich.
Yeah.
But if you wanted a PC person in terms of team, you could easily sell that card for 500, right? Cash in for the 500 and spend 100 of it, which I'm staring at right now, on a Cam Newton Patriots downtown optic, which arguably looks beautiful. It's $100 and it's nowhere near the 500, and it's something that you can enjoy
Yeah.
on a shelf or on your desk.
Which would look
So
good in between all the Chase Winoviches as well.
exactly,
So
exactly.
yeah,
So
makes sense.
I mean, again, like I said, the decision would be a lot easier if it was just 50 quid, and it wouldn't even be a decision at that point. It would be
Yeah.
keeping it because it looks beautiful. But there you go. I mean, all about the keeper, says Simo or Simo.
Simo, everyone wants me to get the keeper. The keepers are sort of the most sought after things on So Rare. They're £400 and above, so you've got
Bloody
to
hell.
spend that sort of money to get one. So that's what I've said I'm going to buy one. So it's when do I take that jump? By selling that card, that could be a way that you need 500 for a 5 foot Asian keeper on So Rare. He's right. The keepers command such high prices. So if I believe in So Rare, that is one way that I could go and fund a goalkeeper along with maybe the Messi card. I could put the two sales together to go and fund one. But I'm loving So Rare. I'm loving the journey. It's a lot of fun. It gives, because it's a fantasy game as well as a card NFT digital card collection. But believe me, that downtown and having that to look at and hold and pick up is definitely more fulfilling for me at the moment than the potential profits to be made in So Rare. I'm enjoying the So Rare journey, but for me, I'm still somewhat a hobby purist. There's nothing better than having that card on your desk. It glimmers in the light. You see that lovely optic flash, and it just gives you that lovely feeling. Looking at some K or J League footballer in your digital gallery on your computer, believe me, doesn't have the same feeling.
I mean, it's a good point. If we touch on So Red just for a little minute, I mean, for me, from what I gather from it, it's fantasy football where you have a chance of earning Ethereum rewards from the league, right? If that's the basis of it, and also these NFTs. For me, instead of spending 500 on a 5 foot Asian keeper, I would rather take that 500 and just put it into Ethereum instead of trying to earn Ethereum,
Yeah.
because there's a
It's
lot
strange
more.
though, because actually you are in a roundabout way, you are still investing in Ethereum. You're actually buying that amount of Ethereum on the platform, and it goes up the same amount. Ethereum goes up. It is the same thing. If you're putting £500 into a player on there, it's the same sort of process. However, there is a chance that you're, with Ethereum, where it's safer is that, like we said before, there isn't a chance that your player goes and gets injured and all of a sudden your Ethereum, which if it was just Ethereum would still be worth the same amount, all of a sudden plummets like you wouldn't believe. There is an argument it can be vice versa. If the player that you've bought goes and turns into the next Haaland, the next Messi, whatever it may be, it can go absolutely crazy. So I don't know. I'm still. I've obviously started a podcast on So Rare. I'm enjoying the journey. It's interesting. I was hooked for the first week. Second week, I'm already turning a little bit. I'm but who knows where we'll end up.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, I enjoy it for the game days when you can watch your players get you points. However, I feel like I'd rather just do that on fantasy football rather than spending
Yeah,
the £500 on a 5 foot Asian goalkeeper.
yeah.
Like,
I'm
it's
even
a lot of
fading on Top
money.
Shot. I'm even fading. And I purchased some cards on there. I've opened some packs. The base ones are now down to. So this is my problem that I've got with it, right? When NBA Top Shot had its bubble, even the base common cards, or moments as they're called, were worth $30 to $90. Now there's so many people involved, it's caused the prices to come right down. Now they're worth about $7 each, those common cards. Now, common cards in, for example, rated rookies are fairly common, just a bog standard rated rookie, fairly common. However, by the time 20 years pass, there's not as many as there were produced left because they go missing, they get damaged, whatever happened, they get lost, things happen. And then that circulation number goes down. Problem is, if they produce 35,000 plus commons as an NFT, mate, they're not going nowhere. There's always going to be 35,000 of them. They're not going to get any rarer. And well, like Grimbo said, you can't scratch the digital ones. I agree with that. However, is that a good thing? Could be a bad thing because there's no looking after them. There's no making sure it don't get damaged and holding onto it for until it's worth money. They are always going to exist on that blockchain somewhere, and that for me means scarcity unless it was a rare card that you managed to pull or that you invested in. Tough thing. And I also don't like these challenges they're putting out at the moment because there's a LeBron James out at the moment, which is a fantastic one. But it costs you about $1,000 to complete that challenge. Now, don't get me wrong, that $1,000 to complete that challenge is amazing. And you end up with what's going to be a quite rare LeBron James moments card. The problem is these challenges are inflating the prices of each card required to complete it. And once that challenge disappears, the price of them crashes like you wouldn't believe. So there was a Edwards card that I purchased, and this is my lack of research. There's an Edwards card that I purchased for $160 while he was part of one of the challenges. He then come out of the challenge and he's now worth about $60. It's so the platform for me, and not only that, at the moment as well, I wanted to withdraw. When I hit a Zion, he was worth $400. I wanted to withdraw. Dapper is still telling me at the moment that I'm not allowed to withdraw because they're still waiting to approve my account. I don't like the fact that you can put money in and spend money as much as you want to your heart's content, but you can't withdraw. That's really wrong in my opinion. So even Top Shot, I'm turning away from at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really comment too much on Top Shot itself because I haven't even done any research into it. I see it on my timeline on Twitter, but I don't interact with it at all because I personally don't have much interest in basketball. I'm getting into it slowly here and there, but for me, again, just anything NFT wise for me is I'm being cautious with at the moment because they've blown up so fast, they can easily crash so fast,
Yeah.
like you were saying. I mean, I don't. When you said $1,000 for a challenge, I'm thinking, why is a challenge costing $1,000? And I know you get a reward at the end of it, but that has to be because the items in it have been pushed up by other people in the community that are trying to get a quick cash
Yep.
out on it. But then you're saying you can't even cash out if they haven't authorized your account. Why are they
No,
letting you put money in?
that's right.
It should be both
They're
ways.
all right
If
to take your money as much as you want, but you can't
Yeah,
make a withdrawal when you want to. For me, that's
exactly.
wrong. Bella Chow actually made a very good point there as well. One Ethereum was worth $140 January last year. It's a very good point, mate. I've been in crypto for a long time. I'm not in it for a short term. What goes down will come back round eventually. What goes up comes down. It all is, fair enough. But people are buying NFTs at the moment in the bubble. They're buying it in the bubble, and at some point that's probably going to halve, but it will come back. But the amount of people that will panic when it halves and cashes out will be crazy. And
Yeah.
that's it.
I mean, I've been having this discussion of crypto with my brother because he's massive into crypto at the moment, and he was coaching me through it all. And he was saying, even though there's a bubble at the moment, that bubble it will burst, and you will come out of that bubble. But that's when it's low, it's the best for any trader because they know that's coming straight back up.
Yeah.
Because I mean, Ethereum at the moment, I think, is at its all-time high that it has been. And yes, it was 140 last year, but that proves our point. If you bought it last year, now you're sitting on 1,500, not 140. It swings and roundabouts with it all. I mean,
Yeah.
I was scared to touch crypto because it's not a physical thing. It is putting your money into something that you then just have to trust. However, when you look at it, it is a good investment. And I don't know how we've got onto crypto from a card podcast, but we have. So
It's all good, mate. It's all good. But I'm with you. What goes up must come down. But let's be honest, that's no different to cards. We're in a card bubble. We're in a card bubble. You know, if you want to go and purchase, like we said, the Haalands, if you want to go and purchase, I don't know, let's give another example of something that's gone a little bit, you know, crazy at the moment and out of nowhere. You could have spoken about, you know, LaMelo Ball rated rookies or any of that sort of thing. You know, then he goes and does his wrist. Anyone who jumped in on the LaMelo Ball craze, you know, they started to reach 70, 80, 90, 100. Now they're worth 30. Mate, it happens. And that's it.
it's the same with Ansu Fati. Everyone
Yep.
went massive on him. Then he had an injury and his price came down. However, people have seen that as an opportunity, like other people in the crypto business. When something comes down, there's your time to buy. And they started buying and they've pushed the price back up. And it just proves our point on the situation that although it will come down, they will always go back up as long as there's something to push it back, which is the same with a card. If a player gets injured, but it's not a career-ending injury, you can still trust their price to come back up a little bit because they will be playing again. And it's the same with Ansu Fati. How Ansu Fati got that price tag in the first place is beyond me. I won't get into it because we wouldn't have enough time. But it's just, yeah. I mean, it will always come back. You just need to be smart with it, really.
Yeah. Should we take a couple of questions before we jump out? See if anybody wants to chuck in a few. Won't be able to do too many because I do have to get off and I've got a few things I've got to do this evening. Carrying on building the Pullman website, so that'll be fun.
There you go.
But yes, if we can take some questions, if anybody has any,
Let's do it.
Then we'll take it from there. So I'm still going to be pondering this evening what I'm going to do with Tua. It's going to be loads of fun.
Whack it on the website. If it sells, it sells. If it don't, it don't.
Do you know what? You're right there. That price it to something that I wouldn't begrudge letting it go for. And if it goes for it, then I'm happy. And if it doesn't, then it still sits on the desk.
You could even just bundle it in with something else to get the other person value on it, so that it does give them an incentive to buy it.
What I could do is a raffle for £10 with 2,000 spots.
You could do.
And then I can everyone on Instagram and tell them that it's here.
I'll set you up with the guy on Instagram. He's got good ones.
That's it. That's what we need.
No, jokes aside, it is let's have a look.
David Palmer's got a good one. This is for you.
Am I wasting my time investing in Burrow and Herbert? It depends on the price you're picking them up for and what cards you're picking up. If you're picking up base, I would say possibly. If you're picking up numbered and autos, I think you're going down the right line of stuff to invest in. This isn't me saying what you should and shouldn't invest in, because to be completely honest, I'm still new at this. I said earlier, I've been in the hobby for a year. So this is just from all my research on it. I would say they're still good investments, especially in the off season, because come round to the season, their price will start fluctuating. And if they play well one week, they'll go through the roof. If they play bad another week or they come into a bad spell, you will see it decrease. But as we were saying earlier, everything comes back up. Everything will rebound as long as they don't get that career-ending injury. So at the moment, I think with any of the quarterbacks you could invest in, you're probably putting your money into the two better ones than the others, especially with Burrow coming back into it's going to be a new team because he was only in it a couple weeks until he had his injury and he's been out of it since. He will come into a new team. They're going to add players to the team to help him, and he will probably it is like buying a 2021 rookie at the moment because he will be a rookie for the season again. I know he's had a season, but he hasn't. He's had a couple of games. So I think Burrow's probably the better out of the Burrow Herbert, especially because I think Burrow's cheaper than Herbert at the moment. There you
Quick
go.
question. I really want to flip that slightly. Obviously, Brady, when he first came onto the scene, his rookie season did nothing, didn't do anything for a few seasons before he blew up. Is there someone that you have earmarked at the moment, like what we said earlier on, go for the one that's under the radar? Is there a QB at the moment that you think is one of those under the radar guys that could be being slept on right now?
See, this is my issue because I haven't invested in many slept on QBs apart from one, but it all comes out of my love for the Patriots, and it comes down to Jarrett Stidham. And I think, from what I'm seeing, he could possibly take the reins of the Patriots this season. I know we signed Cam Newton back to a new contract, a hefty contract, I think 14 million contract for a season. I could still see Belichick playing Stidham alongside Cam, rotating them and giving him that chance to shine. However, if he doesn't, he will be hungry and he will be hungry to prove himself. And we've seen it with Jimmy Garoppolo. Got dropped from the Patriots, didn't get given his chance, and he's gone to San Fran and made his name for himself. And that's still backing him. Yes, he's not been the best. However, that's still backing him to be their guy. I could see the same thing happening with someone like Jarrett Stidham. But again, that comes down to my bias of the Patriots. And I agree with
But
that, Grimbo.
it might be a bad thing, but it's also a good thing because you always know more about your own team. So as
Yeah.
long as you're not being biased to that decision, and it is a decision based on thought process, like you said, it's because he could take over the reins, and who knows what might happen from there. Then, mate, it makes sense. It makes total sense.
Definitely. I mean, let's go back to one of the earlier questions. Grimbo, who is your biggest Spurs hold? At the moment, it's Regulon and Lo Celso, primarily because they were the two that looked like they were going to be the biggest impacts to our squads when they came in. Lo Celso's been out with injury for a little bit. So has Regulon, so we've not really seen them too much. But I would definitely earmark those as the two players I am investing in currently. Let's
You
go.
didn't buy a Regulon off me really early on when I pulled it out of a Donruss TV, didn't you?
Yeah, I'm always looking for them. I think I have probably over 30 just base of his Chronicles rookie because they're so cheap. I still have a bunch sat in my ComC account because they sell for $1 on there. And on UK eBay, they're £3, £4, £5 each. I'm not paying that. So here you go. Here's one for you.
What West Ham cards are you looking forward to, mate? Champions League next year. Do you know what? I've got a problem with West Ham cards, and I always say the same thing. We don't have a hero at the moment. We used to have heroes. If it was people like Payet, and if it was people like Di Canio, Joe Cole, players like that, they really get the heart racing, and they're the luxurious goal scoring players that have the moments of magic. We don't really have a player like that right now. Our probably our best player without a shadow of a doubt is Declan Rice. The problem is he's a defensive midfielder, and defensive players don't get any love in the hobby. I've seen so many people today going on about Trent Alexander-Arnold and being slept on because he's the best. Right? No defenders will ever be worth any money. We've had the best defenders in the world over the past few years. Whether it be Ramos, Varane, even when the Roberto Carlos lost rookie come out and things like that, people just don't care. Defensive players and midfielders who don't score goals, even midfielders in general, just don't command money. It's all about forwards. Everyone thinks in people think football is different to American football and think, oh, in American football it's all about the QBs, whereas in football, anyone can be worth money. Not true. It's about the strikers, the goal scorers. They are your QBs, and they are the only people who will ever be worth any crazy money in this hobby. It's as simple as that. Diego Maradona scored goals. That's why he was worth money. Pele will be worth money because he scores goals. Goals are everything in this game, mate, and that's it. It's not right, but it's just how it is.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It comes back into my argument of my two biggest Spurs holds at the moment. One of them is a central attacking midfielder. The other is a left back. They're not demanding crazy prices at the moment. However, when they prove themselves and they do become big players or good players, their price will increase, but it will never be as a striker. However, you have to look at the fullbacks as good, cheap investments, because when they do well, their price does increase, just not to the value of the strikers. You see it with Alphonso Davies. His price is ridiculous.
He did go crazy. Yeah, he did.
So, I mean, anything can happen with the fullback position. I just don't think Trent's the guy to push that money.
Yeah.
So,
fullbacks, wingers, and Trent, while he probably is a better attacking fullback than he is a defensive fullback, in quite honesty, he still isn't someone who, like Alphonso Davies, he enough contribute to attacking play. Like, he bombs up there with a free rein. He can do it because he's so fast. But it's like anything. I would still stay. I do understand. The thing is, you've just said you're buying Regulon at between £1 and £5. That's different story. What I wouldn't be doing is going and putting my money into a very low numbered Regulon patch from Immaculate and spending £100 on it. That I wouldn't do.
Definitely not.
It doesn't work out that way. Goalkeepers, again, never command any money. They get no love at all. My money will only ever be in... I actually made myself a rule probably about 3 or 4 months ago, because I was buying everything. I was buying loads of Declan Rice, buying all sorts of players. Said to them, I'm only going to spend money on forwards from now on. And I'm only going to hold forwards as well. Anything else is up for grabs. And I sold off all my Declan Rice collection. I had the gold standard, really no numbered cards. I had, loads of it, and I just got rid of it all.
Yeah, I remember you had given a couple away in the mystery packs and whatnot to all the other West Ham fans. I mean, yeah. It does come down to just the forwards, the goal scorers, and they'll always be the biggest names. I mean, yes, you've got iconic defenders such as Cannavaro, Maldini, Nesta, people like that. However, if their rookie stickers on eBay currently aren't selling for more than £50, whatever makes you think their autos are ever going to be more than that? I think you could actually buy a Maldini auto from Chronicles, I think.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that commanding massive money. Why not? Because he's a defender. And they're not flashy. That's why. So
Virgil van Dijk has been probably the best centre-half we've seen for a very, very long time. You think his price would be booming? He won the Champions League, he won the World Club Championships, won everything with Liverpool, and still don't command any money.
No.
It's mad. It's absolutely mad.
Well, I'm looking now. There's a 25 patch auto from Obsidian, £170 for Van Dijk, outnumbered to 25. That's relatively cheap for arguably the world's best centre back.
Yeah.
So
who's won everything?
Exactly.
If that's I don't know, if that's an Mbappe, how much is that worth?
Exactly.
And that does put it into context. And Virgil van Dijk, is probably achieved more in his career at the moment than what Mbappe has right now. But that's how it is. So
yeah.
Crazy.
I mean, you could still say, if the Netherlands win a World Cup or a Euros, his price could still increase because he would be the man that's arguably carried them for it or whatever. It's just, again, centre-backs I wouldn't invest in. I just wouldn't.
Like Bobby Moore, still the only captain to ever win a World Cup for England. Unbelievable. His old, cigarette-style card should be worth millions, should be worth more than anything, because we invented the sport. We're the biggest country involved in the sport. That Bobby Moore should be everything to every single Englishman, because he is the man who went and achieved what no other Englishman could ever achieve. And even his stuff don't go for no money. It's crazy. And it's just because he was a centre-half. Even Jeff Hurst and... players like that again, it's still they just don't command the money that they should do. It's strange, really.
Yeah, I don't know. It's again, we could sit here and talk about it for God knows how long. So
We could
we'll just have to carry this conversation on in a different time, different
absolutely.
podcast. I mean, I'm sure we'll do plenty of these. So not to worry about
It's been
that.
fun, mate. It's been fun.
For sure, for sure. I mean, again, test run with this one really. Thrown ourselves into it, seen what's gone on. I haven't really ever done a podcast before, so this is first time for everything. Hopefully we'll get this onto the other apps, Spotify and whatnot. But yeah, that I think is a good place to. Yeah, for sure. I think that's a good point to end it. So we obviously appreciate everyone for listening to this, coming out into the YouTube, whatnot. Keep an eye on my Twitter for any tweets for the next ones, and we'll let you know when they go live. Thank you all. How do I end this? There it is.